A blizzard was closing in, and Andrew's firewood was down to a handful of logs, 5 pieces, maybe 6. Not enough to last the night.
This won't see us through. What am I missing?
Inside, the stove roared, but the cabin stayed cold. The heat was vanishing straight up the chimney.
Straight up and out. The pipe itself is barely warm. All that fire, wasted.
He grabbed a stub of pencil and began to draw.
If I ran the pipe across the room instead, let the smoke travel before it exits.
You'll fill this house with smoke, Andrew. That's a fool's errand.
Maybe it is, but we're going to freeze anyway. I have to try.
The storm was hours away. The family was scared, but Andrew had already made up his mind. Andrew hauled the ladder from the barn and began unbolting the old stovepipe.
She might be right. This whole room could fill with smoke, but if I do nothing, we freeze anyway.
You won't stop until that pipe snakes across the whole room, will you?
He answered by hauling in the first 10-foot section of iron pipe.
Help me steady it. We mount the brackets first. Then I'll seal every joint.
Outside the frosted window, a face appeared. Ed, laughing.
You fixing to smoke yourselves out like a ham. That pipe's longer than a sermon.
He's been listening. Now the whole valley will know your foolishness.
Let them laugh. When their teeth chatter tonight, we'll see who's foolish.
He drove the first bracket home, sealing nothing yet. The blizzard was an hour closer. He coupled the last section and shoveled in kindling. The first flames licked upward. A joint above the stove coughed smoke. Then a black plume rolled into the room.
Andrew, the house is filling up.
Number. The coupling wasn't tight enough.
I told you this would happen. You'll kill us all with your stubbornness.
He grabbed the wrench and climbed back up the ladder, smoke burning his eyes.
It's one bad joint. I can fix it. Stand by the door and open it a crack.
The wrench slipped twice before the bolt bit. He reefed on it until his knuckles whitened. Slowly, the stream of smoke thinned, then died. The room was still hazy, but the leak had stopped.
This isn't over. If that pipe grows another crack, we're done.
After the smoke cleared, Andrew built a proper fire with dry splits and let it roar.
The pipe itself is hot now, all the way across. It's working.
Within an hour, the chill retreated from the farthest corners of the room.
I can feel my fingers again. Maybe you weren't entirely crazy.
He went to the woodpile and marked a tally. Only half a log had burned.
This is half what we used before. The pipe's holding the heat.
Outside the window, Ed slowed his pace, peering into the bright, warm room.
Lucky draw. Wait till that pipe buckles and fills the place with smoke again.
He doesn't want to see it, but the numbers don't lie.
The first real warmth they'd felt in weeks. Yet Clara's eyes still tracked the pipe every time it ticked. That night, the pipe began to speak. A low groan when the fire peaked, a sharp crack when it cooled.
Andrew, wake up. That sound, it's going to come down on us.
It's just the metal stretching. All pipes do it in the cold.
Look at it. In the middle, it's sagging. That bracket won't hold.
She's right. The weight is pulling it down. I'll need another brace at the midpoint.
He dragged the ladder from the corner and went to work in the cold, half-lit room.
Don't just add another. Check every joint. All of them. I won't have last week happen again.
They're tight, but I'll go over them again.
He added 3 more braces that night. The pipe was now solid, but Clara still watched it like a stranger.
It's solid now, but she won't believe it until spring.
A week later, the cold dropped lower than anyone remembered. Frost on the inside of windows. Axle grease froze solid by noon. At Andrew's cabin, the woodpile shrank so slowly he checked his tally twice, thinking the marks had been smudged.
Half the wood, twice the warmth. The tally never lied, and now it was shouting.
A mile down the valley, Ed's cabin ate firewood like a starving beast.
Blasted wind must have scattered half my pile. That's all it is. Not some magic pipe. You still nursing that stove with kindling? I've burned through 4 cords this month.
3 logs since yesterday. The pipe radiates from end to end. The whole room stays warm.
Must be a warm pocket on your ridge. Snow always falls lighter there.
But the same storm had buried both their roofs. The difference was overhead, not geography.
He'd rather freeze than admit he's wrong. That stubbornness will cost him.
A wet snowstorm rolled in before nightfall, heavy, clinging flakes that stuck to every surface and soaked through bark. Andrew tried to pull dry splits from the pile, but his hands came back wet. Every log was spongy with meltwater.
This stuff won't catch. It'll just smoke us out again.
He brought an armload inside anyway, laying the damp wood near the stove. The room had already begun cooling.
That wood won't dry fast enough. We'll be shivering before midnight.
We have to try. Maybe the heat from the pipe will drive the damp out.
He struck a match and held it to the kindling. It sputtered, smoked, and died. Again. Again.
It's too wet. The paper itself is going limp.
We can't go another night without fire. The children.
For the first time since installing the pipe, Andrew felt the old dread return. Warm air only mattered if there was fire to begin with. In the cold, Clara grabbed a soaked blanket from the children's bed, meaning to spread it near the stove for warmth. Frustration overtook her. She flung the blanket over the pipe instead.
Clara, don't.
It's already frozen. What else do you want me to do with it?
Steam rose instantly, but not smoke. Within a minute, the blanket was dry to the touch.
It's dry. How is it dry? There's no fire even lit.
He pressed his palm against the pipe. The metal was hot, radiating stored heat from the morning's fire.
The pipe itself. It's not just for warming air. It can dry anything we hang on it.
We have a whole house full of damp clothes and no fuel. This might save us.
They had been looking at the pipe as a danger, a trick. Now, it looked like a lifeline. They moved fast after that. Clara fetched every damp piece of clothing in the cabin.
Hang everything. The coats, the children's socks, the boots. If we leave them wet, we lose them to frost.
Andrew strung a clothesline near the pipe, but they quickly realized the pipe itself was the best drying rack.
Look at my shawl. I hung it dripping an hour ago. It's dry as summer now.
The whole house feels different. Not just warm, dry. The damp that used to cling to walls is gone.
Even the dog sensed it, abandoning his drafty corner to curl up directly under the pipe.
We won't run out of wood now. Even if the storm lasts a week, we can dry enough to burn what we have.
This pipe isn't just a heater anymore. It's part of this house now, like the roof.
Within a day, the long pipe crossing the room had become the heart of their winter survival.
We used to fear this pipe. Now, I wouldn't spend a winter without it.
A mile down the valley, Ed's chimney gave way with a groan, spilling bricks and snow into his hearth. The cold rushed in, and his family's cries cut through the dark like a blade. Not an hour later, the pounding came at Andrew's door, desperate and uneven.
Andrew, the chimney's down. We're freezing. Open up, for God's sake.
Andrew threw the door open to find Ed caked in frost, his wild eyes searching the warm room beyond.
You've got fire, heat. My family won't last the night. The whole stack collapsed.
After everything he said, every sneer, now he's at my door begging.
No, Andrew, we barely have enough for ourselves. You give him our pipe, and we'll be the ones freezing.
He's got children, Clara, like us.
In the heavy silence, the pipe above them radiated undeniable warmth, and Andrew felt the weight of his decision pressing down. Andrew turned from Clara, grabbed the last 2 lengths of pipe from the corner, and shoved his hat down hard.
Andrew, don't you walk out that door. If you give away our last pipe, what happens when ours cracks?
Then I'll fix it with what's left. But I can't let children freeze when I can help.
He stepped into the blizzard, Ed stumbling after him, the pipe sections heavy on their shoulders as the snow bit their faces. At Ed's cabin, The wind howled through the broken chimney, and his family's breath hung in the dark like ghost smoke.
Is this going to hold? My hands are numb. I can't feel the bolts.
Just keep the section steady. One more coupling and we light the fire.
They shoved in kindling and a few dry splits Andrew had brought. The fire caught, and the pipe began to warm. Within minutes, the long pipe glowed faintly, pushing back the deadly cold. Ed's family, huddled in blankets, began to stir.
It's working, but we've given away our backup. If our pipe fails now, we'll be just like them.
Ed's wife pulled the children closer to the stove, their faces thawing as the pipe filled the room with a dry, steady heat.
You were right, Andrew. All those weeks I mocked you, and now your pipe saved my family.
You'd have done the same, but we're low on pipe now. If anyone else's chimney goes, I don't have more to give.
Then we'll help you. My hands may be old, but I'll carry, I'll hold, whatever it takes.
Andrew staggered home in the gray dawn. Clara, waiting at the door, her anger softened to exhaustion.
You're frozen through, and you gave away our future.
I know, but there are others in this valley with the same thin walls and straight chimneys. They'll need this too. The pipe keeps teaching me. First it warmed us, then it dried us, and now it's calling me to teach.
He looked at the long pipe crossing his own room, its heat constant, and felt the weight of a duty he hadn't chosen. Word of Ed's rescue began to travel, low and urgent, through the frozen valley. Before the week was out, the first neighbors came, Ed leading them through the snow like a man repaying a debt.
I told them what you did. They need the same.
Show them the pipe. The secret isn't in my hands. It's in the design.
He held up a length of pipe, demonstrating how to bend and joint, his own voice growing hoarse with repetition.
They're taking all our time. When will you cut wood for us?
She's right. The stack is shrinking while I am explaining couplings.
By the third household, the woodpile had halved. Andrew marked the tally with a hand that trembled from cold and exhaustion.
I'll haul more tomorrow, but I can't turn them away.
The lessons continued, but each night he returned to a smaller pile and a colder stare from Clara. The pipe had made him a teacher, but it was also becoming a mortgage on his own winter. Clara stood waiting beside the woodpile, arms wrapped around herself against the cold, her face carved from an anger that had nowhere left to go.
Look at this. Our woodpile is half what it was. How much longer do you think will last?
It's not as bad as it looks. We've got a few weeks yet. I'll cut more tomorrow.
You've been saying that for days. Every time you go teach, we burn 3 times the wood just to stay warm while you are gone.
Those families would freeze. You saw Ed's children. I couldn't turn my back.
And what about our children? They're shivering at night while you play the hero for strangers.
She's right. I've been so blind, the pile is nearly gone, and I've been giving away our only strength.
Promise me, Andrew, no more teaching until our own woodpile is full. You owe that to us.
All right, I promise. No more helping until we have enough for the whole winter.
He gave his word, but the promise settled on him like cold iron, heavy and brittle, knowing it might not hold. Before dawn the next day, an old widow pounded on the door, her shawls stiff with frost, her children's cries carrying on the wind. Her house was ice, her firewood gone, and she had nowhere else to turn.
The promise to Clara, but that woman's children are dying. I can't stand here while they freeze.
He grabbed the last armful of good dry wood from beside the stove, wood meant for his own children, and followed the widow into the cold. In the widow's frozen cabin, he laid the fire himself, striking match after match until the kindling caught and the pipe began to warm.
There goes the last of our dry fuel. Clara will never forgive this, but I couldn't let them die.
He returned home at midday, and Clara was waiting at the door, her face white with fury, the empty wood space behind her.
You promised me, and you gave away our last dry wood for strangers.
I know. I broke my word, but her children were turning blue. What would you have done?
She didn't answer. She turned her back and walked into the cabin, leaving him standing in the snow with nothing left to give. As dusk fell, a wagon creaked into the yard. Ed at the reins, its bed heaped with split wood, and more neighbors walking behind.
You gave everything, now the valley gives back.
One by one, they unloaded until the woodpile rose higher than it had ever been. Enough for 2 winters. Clara came to the door, her anger crumbling into something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in weeks. Hope.
I was wrong. Helping them was never the mistake.
She stepped forward, and Andrew took her hands, the distance between them closing with the last of the day's cold.
I was wrong too. I should have trusted you enough to tell you the cost.
We'll figure it out together. From now on, together.
That night, the long pipe crossed the room, as always, but the frost in the air was gone, and the cold between them had thawed. The woodpile was full, the community bound, and for the first time that winter, the long pipe didn't feel like a gamble. It felt like a promise. News of the long pipe had traveled beyond the valley, and one afternoon a polished wagon pulled up. A young salesman at the reins. Kevin stepped down, leather satchel in hand, and stared at the cabin with the eyes of a man who saw profit.
I've heard the stories, but I had to see it myself. A single fire, warming a house twice over. That's not luck, that's a fortune.
It's simple physics. Keep the hot smoke in the room, and it gives back every bit of heat before it leaves.
Kevin's eyes narrowed with a sharper interest, not just in the pipe, but in the ledger behind it.
Andrew, let's be honest. Most folks can't figure this out. But I can put this in a box, a kit, and sell it to every cold home west of the Mississippi. I'll pay you for the design. Fair price. You won't have to lift a finger.
He wants to own what I built to share. This pipe kept my family alive, and now he'd lock it behind a price. I can't sell what doesn't belong to me. This idea grew from need, not commerce. It should be free for anyone who can cut and bend iron.
Kevin left with a tight smile and a gaze that held more than disappointment. The wagon tracks in the snow looked like a promise kept or a debt that would come due. Weeks later, Andrew walked the frozen path to a neighbor's cabin, meaning to borrow an auger. The front door was open, and inside he froze. A horizontal pipe crossed the ceiling, but it wasn't one of the rough iron lengths he had taught them to bend. It was polished, prefabricated with stamped fittings. The neighbor pointed to a wooden box on the table. Heat Reclaim Pipe Kit. It read, with Kevin's name stamped on the side.
He didn't just copy the design. He packaged it whole, right down to the brackets. Every bit of it, stolen from what I showed him.
The neighbor was proud, saying a traveling salesman had brought them, cheaper than blacksmith work. Families all down the ridge were buying them.
He came to my house. I showed him how it worked, and now he's selling it behind my back.
He didn't wait for a reply. He turned and walked straight into the snow, his anger burning hotter than any stove.
He said it should be free, and now he's selling it to folks who can barely afford firewood. I'll make him answer for that.
He found Kevin's wagon outside the general store, the bed stacked with those same wooden boxes. The long pipe had started in his hands, but now it was slipping through them, and Andrew would have to decide what he was willing to break to get it back. Andrew strode up to the wagon, his boots crunching loud on the packed snow, and grabbed Kevin by the lapel before a word was spoken.
You stole my design. You are selling it in a box while families still freeze.
I am not stealing. I'm spreading it. You taught a few dozen. I'll teach thousands.
You are lining your pockets while widows burn wet wood. How is that fair?
Ask the family in the hollow whose baby survived last week because of my kit.
Andrew walked to the hollow that afternoon and found a cabin glowing with warm light, a mother holding a cooing infant near the stove, a branded pipe overhead.
I couldn't reach this place. My hands can only stretch so far, but this pipe did.
He returned to Kevin and held out his hand.
Sell the kits. But every month, you give 10 free to the poorest in the valley.
Kevin nodded. The long pipe would no longer belong to one tinkerer. It would run through cabins he would never see, warming lives he would never know. Over the next month, Kevin's kits traveled faster than any wagon, carrying the long pipe into hollows Andrew had never seen. One day at the general store, a sign swung over the door. Heat reclaimed pipe sold here. Andrew saw the stack of boxes inside, each stamped with the simple diagram he had scratched in the snow months ago.
It's strange. Feels like the pipe has a life of its own now.
He walked home slowly, following the ridgeline, where a dozen new cabins now had horizontal chimneys, thin smoke trails rising into the gray sky.
You are home early. I saw you standing on the porch, looking out.
Just counting chimneys. There must be 20 now.
20 families who'll stay warm because you wouldn't give up.
It wasn't just me. The pipe taught us all.
She took his hand, and they watched the valley together, the long pipe inside their cabin radiating a gentle heat behind them. Spring came slowly, melting the deep drifts that had buried the woodpile. Andrew stood on the porch, Clara beside him, and they could hear water trickling through the valley.
No more stove, but the pipe's still up there.
It'll be there next winter, and the winter after.
She turned to him, her face softened by more than the warm air.
I am glad you didn't listen to me.
I always listened. That's why I was scared.
They watched the new grass chase the snow up the hillsides, the valley dotted with cabins that had once been cold. They stood there a long time, and neither spoke. The pipe had done its work. Clara took his hand. Together they turned back to the house, the quiet pipe inside waiting for the next winter. Inside the cabin, spring light filled the room. The long pipe stretched from stove to wall, silent now. Pinned to the log wall was a child's drawing, a red crayon line across the page with the word warm written below. That drawing was the only mark the pipe needed. It had done its work.
I only wanted to keep my family warm. I never imagined this.
But from that one cabin, a small idea had kindled into a valley-wide fire. One fire, one pipe, and one stubborn tinkerer changed everything. The long pipe that once threatened to smoke them out became the heart of a home, and then a community. As spring melted the last snow, Andrew stood beneath it, a quiet pride in his soot-smudged face. He didn't need his name on a box. The warm rooms and dry socks were enough. The pipe would wait, as it always did, until the next winter called it back to life.